what's here. The EDDM A-310 has arrived at the departure gate at Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I gotta tell you, the airplane did not disappoint at all. Hello, I'm Dave. I do the Spy Flight over on Twitch, and if you were here with me on YouTube a week ago, we were flying this airplane on this route, but we were over in X-Plane, and I've got to tell you, the EDDM A-310 in X-Plane is a good airplane. You combine this quality of an airplane, though, with the visuals of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I got to tell you, this was a really fun airplane to start learning. So what are we going to do today? Well, let's do the same flight, but let's do the one in Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is the EDDM A-310 passenger version. There are additional things that we have to do that we didn't have to do in the other airplane. Like last week, I'm using Navigraph, SimBrief, and SimToolkit Pro. We're using Microsoft Flight Simulator Live Weather, and with the update for the 40th anniversary, I will tell you the servers are a little cranky right now, so you might have to deal with some server issues, but now that the weekend is done, I'm going to guess that those are going to go down a little bit there. We are also using Pushback Helper. That is a free tool that you can use. And that is something that I got at flightsim.to. What's flight plan for today? Munich to Frankfurt. Departing 8 left. There's our flight route, 7 right into Frankfurt. Our cruise flight for today is flight level 240. It's just an hour and 10-minute real-world flight, and only going about 212 miles. This is, as I mentioned, a real-world route. We're doing real weather, real time. We are flying the passenger version. From what I understand, there's no plan for a cargo version, but I imagine the community will be politely saying, we want a cargo version, especially of the 300 on this airplane, because that's what's flying in the real world. And as I think I mentioned, there are additional things to do in this airplane. One of the questions that I do get asked over on the Twitch live stream is this airplane Category 3 auto land capable? And the answer is yes, you can do an auto land in this airplane. Now, generally, I don't do auto lands simply because I'd rather fly the airplane, but you can do an auto land, and it does work very well. If you're going to be flying this airplane on VATSIM, and I have, and it works, one of the things I suggest is having the volume mixer. You remember this old thing from Microsoft? So have this over here so that you can adjust the level, the noise of the airplane, but also so you can adjust the level of the ATC from vPilot. This is a free, it comes with every copy of Windows and stuff, but you're going to want to be able to turn down the airplane sounds. Sometimes on VATSIM, you're going to want to do that fairly quickly. Another thing that I've really enjoyed in the past week is the newest version of Navigraph charts. I got to tell you, I've really been enjoying this. This is the main moving map version, but you can also go and stack up your charts too, and I really do like this. There's so much to learn. We are over here at gate 249 Bravo here in Munich. This has got to be one of my favorite add-on airports. This is a payware, and I will tell you, I think that this version, this one is really, really worth it. As we just kind of look around here, if I ever get to go and do a little bit of traveling, this is one of the airports I definitely would like to visit. You can see the model of the airplane. The interior is modeled very, very nicely. And I think that the modeling on the airplane was done really well. The external model is great. The cabin signs even work on the inside. This is one of the liveries that you can go and get from EDDM. You will need to go and get the EDDM installer. I think they call it the EDDM Manager is what they call that, and you can get that at the EDDM website free, and this is a great place to go and get liveries. Also, if you go to flightsim.to, other liveries are popping up already. Now, I'm flying Lufthansa today, A, because we're in Germany, but B, the airline that I normally do, the airlines that I normally fly, other than Lufthansa, not a lot of people were early adopters of the A310. Delta and American, I think, flew this thing in the United States. Lufthansa was first out of the gate because I think they saw, hey, this is a good cross-the-pond airplane. So shall we hop on in and do our thing? If you're going to do this, I suggest you pause the video, go ahead and load it up because I'm going to try and go as slowly as I can and explain what it is that I'm doing so that you can do a complete flight with me. The cool part about YouTube, you can pause, restart, and rewind the video. If I did something a little too fast, maybe you can rewind it and catch it there. Then I also suggest within a day or two, do your own hometown flight. Take this on a flight that you're familiar with, that you know the landmarks on. That's just going to help you remember all the stuff that there is to do on this airplane. Okay, shall we hop on into the best seat in the house? Let's go ahead and take it out of drone cam mode, and we're going to come on in here, and there we go. My first stop here, and I do have quick views set up. I really like to suggest you have some quick views set up, and I use the number pad. This really kind of helps you move around the airplane. And we're going to go over here, and this is one of my main quick views. It's number 8. It's always of an electronic flight bag, and our electronic flight bag works pretty good. If your airplane is not cold and dark, you can see on the main page here, you can just hit cold and dark, and there you go. You've also got on GPU, on the APU, and ready for takeoff. Hey, come on. This is an immersive airplane. I do it cold and dark. First things first, we're going to go down here, and we're going to go to the plug. And the plug is essentially ground services. It's already got my ground power unit set up. Let's go ahead and grab a jetway. And if you go outside, you can have a look and see, here comes our jetway. There comes the jetway. This will also open the door. Somebody on the live stream yesterday was saying, wait a minute, I noticed with the jetway that the door's always open before the jetway connects. Yeah, they would wait until the jetway connects before the door actually opens. So we've got that taken care of. When you do connect a jetway, by the way, the 1L door will open. The first door on the left side, that's the door we all walk in as passengers, right? I'm also, for a little realism, I'm going to open forward, aft, and bulk cargo. Now, there really is not a loading thing unless you're using something like GSX or something, but, you know, you can go ahead and open up the cargo bays. You can do bulk cargo too, so I'll go ahead and do those too. Okay, so now we got these 3 done. There is also a pushback. I have not mastered the pushback system too terribly well. That's why it is that I'm using Pushback Helper, and it works really good. Okay, let's talk a little bit about throttles. 2 options that I want to yammer on about here. And the first thing is calibrating your thrust levers. There's 2 things to do with all of this. First of all, you can calibrate them, and I've done a pretty good job of calibrating mine. One of the things to do is after you do this calibration, you're going to need to exit out of the airplane. Just go back to the main menu in Microsoft Flight Simulator and go back in. Okay, so that's the main way to go. Now, if you've got the TCA Airbus thrust levers, throttles that have the lift up levers, and then you pull the throttles back for reverse thrust, you may need to go into the configuration file. Now then, that's a little scary for some people, and I'm kind of one of them. But if you go over to the AnyBuilds website, click on forums, and then if you also go and take a look and see they've got a special tab set up now for the A-310 in Microsoft Flight Simulator, you're going to find a simple 3-step process to go and do that. So if you're having problems with your calibration, those are the 2 things to do to make those work. Okay? Next thing, there is something up here that says nose wheel steering, and this is a little bit reverse intuitive, at least for me and my I just got out of bed, haven't had my coffee, brain head, okay? So the thing is if you say nose wheel steering, you'd say on. Okay, what this really means is that means you're linking the tiller and your rudder pedals together. That's what this on means. So if you're like me and you use the twist stick on your Thrustmaster to do your steering, so you can see my twist stick moving back and forth there. If you use that, then this needs to be off. Okay, that way it separates the tiller and the rudder pedals. And so that was a little bit of unintuitive. The other thing that I've gone and done is I've got my engines and my interior at 50% sound. I've kicked the exterior of the airplane down to 15%. You go outside the airplane and it just blows your ears out a little bit. And I'm guessing it was an old loud airplane, so there you go. Okay, let's go ahead and start doing the loading process. Loading is relatively simple here. The sliders for loading your airplane, I guess somebody has decided that sliders are cool and groovy, but I'd much rather just be able to put a number in, to be honest, because sliders take a little bit of time. To do these sliders, I do suggest, kind of turn it and zoom in a little bit. I use the Lido style of flight plans over here that I get out of SimBrief, and you're going to want passengers, cargo, and fuel. These three numbers, this is on page 3 of the Lido flight plan, and we have 167 brave souls flying with us today. So slide it on out to 167. And it does stop. I mean, if you want to get the exact number in, you kind of have to move it a little bit. And of course, you see it jumps back and forth. And after a while, you just say, fine, 168. But that's one of the reasons, trying to get the slider so it's perfect, right on. It always seems to take just, a little bit of extra. Cargo is 5.0. Let's see if we can put in 5.0, 2, 1, 0. There we go. That one was a little easier. Let's try and get 167. 167. Nope, it's not going to do it. It's going to be a brat. So that's again, this is why it is that I'm not a fan of sliders. 166. Somebody just didn't show up. Fuel to get us up to Frankfurt is 8.1. 8.1. I do generally board about 30 minutes of extra fuel for the airplane. And there we go. There they all are. I'm going to make one more. Let's just look at it, zoom it in. One more and see if we can make this work. 167, 6, 7. There we go. Finally. Okay, immersion, right? Immersion. But again, that's why it is that, come on, guys. So at that point in time, all you do is hit apply. And then if you don't want to take a chance of moving these around, I usually put it on live, and we're good to go. And that's it. Airplane's loaded. Now, if you're using GSX, I think that there's other things that you can do. I have to admit my skill with GSX is not that great. So that's one of the things on the to-do list is to get better at GSX, which, if you don't know, is a way of simulating loading airplanes. It's got a really good pushback module on it and a few other things. I just haven't had time. Okay. We're ready to turn on the airplane. Another problem that I have had, though, it has really good checklists here. One of the things is this checklist, sometimes it kind of snaps itself all the way at the bottom, and I'm not able to get beyond that. If you do just a search for A310, you can go and PDF on the internet. You can go and get something to print up, and I do suggest using it on this particular airplane. You're going to forget stuff. Time to turn the power on. So power is up here, and it's 3 switches. And just like the other airplane, switch 1, 2, and 3. There we go. That looks pretty good. On our way down, we can go and hit external power. I'm going to turn on the galley so that we can get the coffee made and nav and logo lights. Today is the 14th. That's an even day. We're going to use nav and logo light system number 2. Okay, airplane comes to life. I usually at this point like to adjust some of the panel lighting. So we'll start with the pedestal, and I usually, for a daylight flight, I just crank them all the way up. Okay, the next one is a little hard to get to. It's down here by the pilot's left knee. So there it is. And this thing right here, so we're going to go ahead and do captain and center instrument lights. I'll just crank that up. If you're flying at night, I'll also suggest 2 clicks of the main instrument panel floodlight. That helps out a little bit too. And then the last step is we're going to come over here, and I'm going to just crank up the autopilot light lever too. And there we go. Airplane is indeed coming to life. Okay, so let's go ahead, and you can see now I've gone and I did something, and it's now snapping. So I don't know what it is that I'm doing wrong, but I can't get this out of where it is. So that's unfortunate, but I don't know how to fix that. So that's why it is that I found one and printed one up. Okay, we've got some cool things to do here. I'm going to go and clear out the ECAM. It should, since that usually is 3 button presses. And the ECAM is cleared out. External power is connected. Parking brake is on. I don't know that there's chocks with this airplane. So parking brake on for sure. And it says fuel feed manual control. Okay. It also shows our doors are open, and that's good too. Now let's come on down here. And usually at this point, I'm on the co-pilot side. I'm going to hit the menu button, hit FMS, and I'm going to say, whoops, that's not what I wanted. Menu button and ACARS. Now then, there's you can go and enter your username for SimBrief. It's not your pilot ID number. Somebody did the test for us over on the Twitch Spy Flight. You need to use your username, what you log in with. It doesn't want your password, just your username. Once you've got that in there, you can request your SimBrief flight plan. It's pending, and then the company route upload is done. And so that's going to upload your flight plan for you, and you can see it says EDDM to EDDF. So now the flight management computer knows what airport we're at. At this point, we now get to come up here, and we're going to tilt up a little bit, and we're going to zoom up and kind of zoom in here a little and slide over. And just like the other airplane, we've got 3 IRSs. So go to the one over the pilot, switch to nav. It goes to battery operated, and then it goes to aligning. And then we'll slide over to the co-pilot side. We'll do the same thing. Battery operation and nav. And then we can slide over here, and my view's kind of messed up a little bit here. And we'll do the same thing for the co-pilot, nav. And battery and that. As we're doing this, let's also do a fire check. We can do the fire for the APU. Okay, I'm going to go and get on my high horse, and I'm going to do an unscheduled rant right now. Microsoft, Asobo, I get it. The connection is lost. If I'm on final approach right now and this thing pops up in front of my face, dude, stop it. Please give us an option to turn it off or put it off to the side. But that is essentially stopping the flight. Okay, rant over. I'm sorry, but that always pops up in the middle of landing. And that, you know, and then this thing stays up forever. Hey, I'm glad we've successfully connected. I'm trying to fly the freaking airplane. I've got to stop ranting about that because that's something that's really been bugging me. Okay, let's go back over here and do loop A and fire check for the APU. Let's go over here and do the agent light. And if the squib light comes on, then we got a good fire test there. Same thing for engine number 1. And then we'll check the squib lights and the squib lights work. Let's go over here and do this one over here. Loop A, loop B. And that looks good. Let's come on over here. Agent lights work on that. And so that is a good thing. Slide over here. We're going to do crew oxygen. We're going to pop that up. You see, is that in the green zone? It is. And then there is also the flight recorder ground control. What this does is this basically turns on your flight recorder while you're on the ground. So you pop that on. It'll turn itself off. That way, if I push the wrong button, if I push the AZ5 button and blow the reactor, at least they've got a recording, right? So there is no AZ5 button, and that's a Chernobyl joke. Let's go over here, and it says align IRSs over here. So before you clear this out, let's go ahead and do align IRSs. And as soon as you click that, then go down here and clear. Don't clear it until you do the alignment. Otherwise, you might forget. And then that takes, I've got realistic times, so that's going to take a while. Flight ID, we are flying as DLH, Lufthansa today, and our usual flight 441, and that goes in there. Cost index. Okay, so my SimBrief user profile does not give me a cost index. Okay, so it says Mach 80 So that's what Mach 0.80. So what I've been doing, and we've all kind of figured out over on the Twitch spy flight, is we're just going to go and hit 45 for now. And that will at least make the airplane happy, and we'll eventually figure out what it is that we need to put in there. Our alternate airport for today is EDDL. So we're going to punch in EDDL and make that our alternate. And then all you have to do is hit return. Okay, good to go there. Flight level 240. All this is looking good. Time to go and start up the APU. So APU is up here. Do your master switch. The low pressure light comes on in the fuel pump for a second. I usually wait until that light goes out, and then we'll hit start. And we'll get the APU up and running too. And our airplane continues to come to life. We do know what our runways are going to be today. A lot of airports, though, are making you wait for your runway. We already know what that is, so let's go ahead and plop those in. We're going to hit flight plan right now. And for this, I can also make this just a little bigger, make it easier for you to see what we're doing here. So, okay, that one's not looking good. Let's go like this and zoom in this way. There we go. Okay, so EDDM, your departure airport, click it, hit the SID button, and then choose your runway. SimBrief has suggested 8 left, so 8 left. We're going to be doing the GIVMI 6 Quebec departure. So we got to use the arrow. It goes down one at a time, and there's GIVMI 6 Quebec. And there's no transition out of that, so all you do is hit insert. There's lots of little beeps and stuff that are going on. And there is our flight plan out of there. And we're going to go slowly down here. If you're a real good pilot, you're checking this up against your printed flight plan. Now here is our arrival airport, EDDF. Frankfurt right now is landing on the 7, so this said 7 right for our arrival. ILS 7 right. We are doing the FAWUR to Charlie. FAWUR to Charlie. And usually for this, the best way to go is if you have a DF 654 into Frankfurt, that's almost always correct. And so that's going to be that. We could look it up on our charts. We could be good pilots. So here we are coming in on FAWUR. There is FAWUR. And we've got the little racetrack going around here. Here are our entry points for the 3 runways. If we're going to be on 07 right, they are saying DF 654. So see, we're good pilots, and we went and checked. By the way, we're going to be on the south side of the airport here. So chances are we need to make sure that this is setting us up on the south side transition and not the north side transition. So we gotta let's go and see if that's if it did that correctly. And so come on back, flight plan, Munich. I'm looking for any discontinuities right now, and there should be one set of vectors here. GIVMI, FAWUR, BOEC, Ithic, CV, Spezia, Cha. This is the racetrack coming on in here. Yep, it put us on Charlie. So it put us on the south transition. Sviv, Spezia, and then Charlie. So this is all looking good so far. Again, I'm expecting there's vectors and there'll be a discontinuity in there. Sometimes you can clear the discontinuity after vectors, sometimes you can't. This says you're not allowed, so you just leave it in there and vector yourself in. And this is going to get us right to the runway. Okay, so that looks pretty good, and it even has loaded in our missed approach, so that's good. And there is our alternate. Now then, there's a little thing that you can do with these, and I haven't been doing this for a while. The secondary flight plan, you can go in, and one of the cool things to do is you can copy the active, or I usually just do EDDM to EDDM. Little bit of a rabbit hole alert here, and return. And now let's go into secondary flight plan. We don't want to activate this. And what we're going to do is the arrival, and we're going to do star, And what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, and our departure runway is 8 left, ILS 8 left. No SIDS, no transitions, and insert that. What this has gone and done is load in, and I don't know if we can actually see it on the map yet because we're still aligning. But what this has gone and done is in the secondary flight plan, what I've done is I've gone and put in the ILS approach. If we lose an engine and we have to come back and land, all we do is activate secondary, and wow, we can go and land. Isn't that cool? Now we'll just go back to the main flight plan, and all is right with the world. By now our APU has started up, so let's go over here and turn on the APU bleed. More fans are coming on. Let's also start heating up the, turn on the window heaters. I don't know if it actually heats it up or not, but that's what I say. And we're going to leave the fuel pumps and the probe heaters off for now. We're fueling the airplane. We should have done no smoking. So no smoking is going on. And the airplane gets even louder in here. All right, so everything's looking good down here. Let's see, APU has been enunciated down here on the ECAM. Let's clear that. And if we look back here, you can still see that the IRS remains in alignment. Fuel feed, no smoking, parking brake, external power, and APU is running. So everything is doing pretty good there. Really what we're waiting for right now is the alignment. So while we're waiting, let's go over on the co-pilot side, hit ATIS, and we are at EDDM. We're going to put that into, and let's hit send. Company message has been received. Let's clear that and hit messages. And now we've got the METAR. It's not really the ATIS, it's the METAR. And now we've got our current altimeter setting, which is 1018. And now the GPS primary, so the alignment process is coming to an end here, which is good. We can go in here and set the altimeter. And the altimeter again, 1018. 1018, that's this one over here. Now I've got my Airbuses set to metric. So come on, it's an Airbus, it should be metric. Let's say you're flying out of an American airport, which is still using inches of mercury. So you would put in your inches of mercury here, but you see it'll also give you, the conversion to hectopascals. So this is really, really good, and I'll explain why it is that that's a cool little thing to remember in just a few minutes. I know, I hate it too when somebody on YouTube says, I'm going to do that in just a few minutes. Why don't you do it now? But trust me, you'll like that later. Okay, navigation accuracy is upgraded, so we're good to go there. Once that's happened, you can come back up to the upper panel, and you can then come up here and you can do pitch trim. And by the way, if you're doing pitch trim and yaw dampers and then they turn off, it means you haven't aligned your IRSs yet. So pitch trim will also turn on the auto thrust system right now too. All right, airplane continues to come to life. Now we can come over here and let's go ahead and get our speeds for takeoff. So we're still over here on the loading page, and I'm going to take our gross weight, which is 106.6, 106,000. So it's 106.6 is the decimal point. Click the little airplane, go to weight, type in 106.6. Check it, enter it, do that before you forget, okay? So now we've got our weight, and now we can go in, and if you've already entered your runway for departure, you can go ahead and put in your runway length, the available length of the runway for takeoff. 399 is going to appear down here, or you can manually put it in from your charts. So that just saves us a little time. Surface is dry. Runway QDM. Now what this is going to do is this is going to give you the runway heading with the magnetic variation. So it's not exact, but there you go. That works really good. So it is actually, with the variation, it is more exact. But as flight simulator pilots, we usually just take the runway heading off the chart. What's our wind today? Our wind today is 360 at 4 knots. So come over here, click the wind window, 360, 0, 4, and enter. Type slowly. Okay, you do need to type slowly. The temperature here in Munich is 10 degrees. So click OAT and 10. This is not one of those airplanes where you want to be clicking into things fast. Then our QNH is 1018. If you've got your airplane set to metric like I have mine, it will only accept hectopascals. It will not accept inches of mercury. So remember when I was saying this thing does your conversion for you? So if we were in an American airport and the altimeter was 3007, perfect altimeter setting, by the way, for a spy flight, you could then go over here and get 1018, and that's how you get your conversion. So isn't that nice? Okay. Next thing we'll do is our flaps. Generally, the airplane takes off at flaps 15, slats at flaps 15 and 15. Short runway, you'll click it one more for flaps. I think it's 15 and 40 for the other one. So shorter runways, but we got good long runways here at Munich. Anti-ice is going to be off. Air conditioning is going to be on. Air conditioning packs. So now we can go over here and hit calculate. And we have a flex temperature, a V1, a VR, and a V2. And we get a nice little visualization here too. How much runway we're going to take here, which is pretty cool. So let's start with the flex temperature. It's 55 degrees. Come on over here. And if you don't have any numbers in here, it means you haven't turned on the pitch trim and yaw dampers yet. So at this point, let's go ahead and hit flex 2 and 55 degrees. Now, I may be doing this wrong. The landing elevation, maybe I was watching somebody else, and I think that they were saying you put in your current airport elevation in case you have to go back and land. So that, like I said, I'm probably doing that wrong. But this is the point in my flow that I go in and I get the current landing elevation for where we're going, which is 364. So and that's going to be 350. There's 200, 300, there's 350 basically. So like I said, I think that maybe what they were trying to do is say you do your current airport elevation in case you lose an engine and have to go back and land, and then you reset that in flight, if I was understanding that video correctly. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now then, we can go and do V-speeds, 138 and 138. So we'll come over here to take off and approach, 138, 138. Now you can't change the V2. You have to change that up in the flight control unit. And our V2 is 165. So we can come up here and do 165 for our speed. Somebody said if you hit shift, it goes faster. It does. No, that doesn't work. How about control? No, that doesn't go faster. Doesn't go faster for me. So 165. There we go. Now then, if we're going to be real good pilots, we're going to look over at our departure, and we're going to look to see, do we have a top altitude on the GIVMI 6 Echo. Transition altitude's 5,000 feet. Overlay, not applicable with airspace C. Look down here. Initial climb clearance, flight level 70. If you're on VATSIM these days, they really expect you to look that up yourself now, which is what the real pilots are going to do, and that's what we want to do. You can see my altitude select is at 1150. Notice my pointer here is a normal Microsoft pointer here in the middle. Watch what happens to the pointer when I move it over the top part of the altitude select knob. See how it says an up arrow? Click that, and that puts it into thousands of feet. So 070, it tunes faster. Okay, so that looks pretty good too. And then the last thing that we could do is we could set the runway heading, which is 080. And that's good to go too. Important safety tip, VL does not stand for vertical speed. Okay, that stands for VOR lock. There is glide slope lock. So that is not vertical speed. That does not change the VS. Okay, you change that with the knob. You know, like an important safety tip on that. It's happened to me and it's been kind of embarrassing. Okay, so all of this looks good. I think we're ready to go. It's time to do airplane things. So come on back over here to the plug. And we're going to go, and I'm going to close my forward, my aft, and my bulk cargo. I'm also going to close the 1L door. And with the door closing at this point in time, we go and do seat belts. I'm also going to arm my emergency exits. Oh, it's already set to arm. It already armed itself. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and we'll disconnect the jetway. We're also going to come up here and we're on external power. We started the APU. Important safety tip from with these old Airbuses or any airplane really. Before you turn off a power source, make sure your next power source is ready. In this case, the light is out on the APU, and then you can do off. If you don't do that and you forget, the whole airplane goes dark and all the passengers are sitting back in the back laughing at you. And now we can go ahead and we can get rid of the GPU. And at this point in time, let's go ahead and do the before start checklist. Again, I'm doing something here. The checklist is in here. I don't know how it is that I can fix this, but it just snaps in and it's not working for me, which is too bad. Okay, so I'm going to leave this over here on the weight and balance page and our checklist. The cockpit prep is done. The passenger signs are on. Fuel quantity is verified at, it says 8.1. We were supposed to have 9. We're supposed to have 8.0, so that's good. Navigation is checked and set. Landing elevation is set. Altimeters are set. Brake and anti-skid is normal and on. Windows and doors are closed. It's time to go ahead and grab the beacon. And so we'll come up here and we're going to get the beacon on. And the parking brake, no chocks. Make sure your parking brake remains on. It's kind of hard here with the parking brake and the VHF comm switch. If you're switching frequencies and stuff down here, you may need to slide over here to do your frequency switch. Oh, see how it turned off my parking brake? So this is a hard thing to do here, and I don't know. So you may need to preset your radios if you're going to switch between delivery, apron, and ground. That's a problem with the parking brake. So, and I don't know a way around that right now. So let's go and get pushback helper. This is a cool little app. Like I said, it's available. It's a freeware. You can get this at flightsim.to. And let's go ahead and call the tug. You can also control stairways and jetways and some other things outside the airplane. Okay, look down here. And there comes our tug. So we get to wait there for a second. This is a good chance for the pilot to have some coffee. Let's see, generally we're going to get, here in Munich, push tail north or tail south. We're going to want to push the tail to the north. Now generally I will wait until I see, as the tug's driving up, one of the things it'll do is it'll move around and then all of a sudden it'll go ink, like that. When it goes ink, that's an official airplane term, then you know that you're connected. So we can come in here. I'm going to release the parking brakes and hit reverse. And there we go. And we got a nice little pushback here. You can set some cabin views here. Now, moving around the cabin, there's some little kinky barrier as you're walking out the pilot door and trying to go down the aisle on the left side of the airplane. There's kind of a little thing. Try walking down the aisle on the right side of the airplane, and then you can go and set your views. The cabin is really nicely modeled here. Come back here and have a look at the passenger entertainment screens, and you'll see something interesting there too. And let's see, we're going to, nope, right, sorry, other way, other right. And so we're going to do a bit of a turn here. If you want to multitask and stuff like that, one of the things you could do is start your engines now. In VATSIM, depending upon how tight you are, I suggest doing one thing at a time. So there's our nice turn, and this is going to put us on our center line pretty good. I will also straighten it out just a little bit as we're pushing before I stop. And there we go. Nice push. Parking brake back on. And then you come up here and release the tug. And then I usually will slide this over to the other window and exit out of that. And if we look outside, you can see the tug's going to drive away. We can start our engines now. So starting up the engines are pretty cool. Oh, by the way, we're also supposed to squawk mode Charlie on taxiways. And we're in Europe. We should squawk 1000. Okay. Now let's go up here and the starter. So fuel pumps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 fuel pumps. Wow. Come on down here. And we're going to use System A, Starter A. So start System A. When you get 2 arm buttons there, let's start the right engine. And if it goes to open, that means the start sequence is started. Look down here, and you'll see the N2 is going up here pretty good. So it's an N2 gauge, and at 20%, that's when we're going to go ahead and start stuff up. 16, 17, it always slows down as you get to 20. I guess that's the way the real airplane does. Click the center of the start button, and you get a start on engine number 2. I have not tried to connect anything other than my throttles, my flaps, and my speed brakes to the TCA Airbus. I would think that eventually we'll be able to use starter switches, and we'll also be able to use the knob for switching the starter. Hey, we got a good start on that engine. You heard the click. That was the right generator switching over. As that engine slowly powers up. And that engine is nice and stable. Let's go over here and do the same thing. So all it is when the starter 2 light goes out, you could actually do start 1. So it goes from arm to open. Look down here, same drill. N2 is going up. The real pilots are also probably having a look over here at bleed and oil PSI too. Want to make sure that there's no oil leaks. That's a good reason to stop the engine. 20%, click the center of the engine button, and up we go. And here comes another engine. It's going to get loud. Well, actually, no, it isn't going to get loud because I turned the external down a little bit. I guess these were loud old airplanes. One of the reasons that I really like this airplane is there's more to do in this airplane. If I were a real-world pilot, I would want something that's more automated. I just like having more to do in this airplane. So that's one of the reasons why I've really enjoyed this. Oh, I forgot to do something. Shut down. Shut down the engines. I forgot to do the 0 fuel weight. See how it says initialize 0 fuel weight CG? Guess what I forgot to do? Initialize weights. I forgot to do that too. So we do have the APU still up and running. So the APU still has the electrics. So we didn't lose anything, but I forgot to do that. This has been a thing that I've been doing. So init, page B. All right, get your flight plan. We're going to go to, let's see, block fuel is supposed to be 8.1. We're at 8.0. It knows that. 0 fuel weight for today's flight is 98.3. It says 98.5. That's good. The one little number that I forgot is the center of gravity. Come on over here. If you look where it says CG here on the weight page, 24.8. Enter in 24.8. Now it's happy, but the only way to do this is to stop your engines. And you'd think by now that I would have learned, but oh no. Let's start up engine number 2 again. And the start sequence starts all over, and there you go. I would like to tell you that I did that intentionally so that you won't forget. I really did forget. It happens all the time. Okay, 16, 17, 18, 19. So our fuel's going to be a little bit lower as we come into Frankfurt, because we've had to do 2 starts now. So that's an important safety tip. Oh, it also shut down your pitch trim and your yaw dampers, so you're going to have to do those again. Did that reset the numbers here? Didn't reset those numbers. How about the numbers up here? Didn't reset those numbers, but shutting down the engines also shuts these down too. But because the airplane, you know, we had power still on the airplane, it's still aligned, so we're in good shape. Okay, there's engine number 1. Let's do engine number 2. Very embarrassing to do on YouTube. All the passengers are back there going, N2's going up there, but you can see the start process is not so bad. Oh, and we are now about 35 minutes late on our departure. So if I was on a VATSIM event where I was supposed to be ready to go at a certain time, I would now be told to wait off to the side till they could find a new slot for me. The clock on the airplane is right here, so it's 14:01. My scheduled departure time was 13:35 Zulu, so oops, not good. Okay, we're getting a good start here on engine number 1. And you can see it's not yelling at me down here, so that's good news too. And there is a good start there. Wait till the engines are stable. My throttles were off a little bit. Always make sure your throttles are at idle, I guess. Okay, that looks good. Let's go and get the starter back to ignition. Goes to off. We have the APU running the bleed on, so we're going to turn off the bleed, and now we're going to turn on the engine bleeds, make sure the packs are on. We do have the ground crew away from the nose of the airplane, so we're going to turn on the probe heaters. Those get really hot. We're going to also come down here. We can hit the master switch on the APU. While we're at it, I'm going to do nose lights up here. We're also going to go ahead and ring the no smoking light. Let the cabin crew know we're going to start our taxi. After start checklists. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look over here. It says trim is going to be up 1.3. So look down here and trim's up. There's about 1.3. Let's also go down here and reset the rudder trim. And we can do flaps. The flap lever works really pretty good. So there's flaps 15, and there's flaps 15 and 15. The flap lever works pretty nicely here. We can also go and do auto brakes to max and arm the speed brakes. By the way, the flap sounds on this airplane are great. Sounds like the Millennium Falcon starting out. Okay, after start, pitch trim is set. Rudder trim is set. Spoilers are armed. Slats and flaps are confirmed. 15 and 15. And by the way, it also gives you speeds. So 245 is flaps 15 and 0. 210 is 15 and 15. So that's where you look for your flap extend speeds. ECAM status is clear. Anti-ice is not needed. We've gotten our hand signal, and since we had to restart the airplane, our hand signal was probably somebody flipping us the bird. I think we're ready to go. So tow brakes are on, parking brakes are off. Let's go ahead and release those brakes and add just a little throttle here. And if you've got a wing view set up, you can see the airplane starting to roll, and out we go. This airplane does do a nice little thrust idle taxi. So once you get it going, you're pretty good. Steering with nose wheel tiller. If there is wind out there, it will affect this airplane. while we're coming on out, we could also hit the flight control button. And flight controls are over here. And we could do ailerons. We could do elevator. I'm not going to do rudder. I don't want to. Let's see. Can we disconnect the nose wheel steering here? Doesn't look like I can do that, so let's not do the rudder. So that's a quick flight control check. We should have done that before we left the gate. So flight controls are checked and set. I'm doing the before takeoff checklist. The briefing has been, well, sort of done. Slats and flaps are confirmed at 15 and 15. Performance FMS, read your numbers. V1 is 138, VR is 138, V2 is 165. Takeoff config check. So tilt down like this, look at this screen over here, and then push this little button by the co-pilot under the throttles. And if it turns green, your takeoff config check is good. Transponder is set to Exponder, so we're good to go. This airport is so well modeled. As we come on out here, we're coming out, and you can see we got they did an incredibly good job. Bridges are really hard in flight sim. They did great with the bridge on this one. Again, this is a really nice Munich airport that I really like. Okay, let's take taxiway November. And these old school checklists do have the line, so you will sometimes hear some of the older pilots doing an older checklist saying we are good to the line. So in this case, for the before takeoff checklist, the line is when we get to the hold short line. One of the things that I've noticed is if you're going to try and figure out what your parking gates are, and I do like to figure out a parking gate, you know, that's accurate for the airline that I'm flying, particularly on a VATSIM event, because when you're landing, VATSIM is going to say, once you get off the runway and you contact ground, sometimes ground control will get on the radio and say something like, say parking. So what they're telling you is they want you to tell them where you want to park. Well, I usually go to a commercial, a real-world website like FlightAware, because you can get most of the time you can get gate information. Well, that gives you gate information for a passenger. The gates are different for pilots. And so one of the hard things for me to figure out is in Munich, I'm trying to figure out the different gates. And I've gotten a little bit lost there. So that's something I've got to learn about Munich, because I do like flying out of this airport. And we are coming up on taxiway November. If you look over here, we've got seatbelt signs are on. If there is a little bit of wind, it will blow you around a little bit. So be ready for that. On our way out of the gate, we're going to hit the profile button and we're going to hit the nav button. Some people have been telling me I'm doing that wrong and that you need to hit those buttons before you leave the gate. I'm also going to turn on constraints. And I think we are ready to go. My thrust is idle, by the way, and we're doing a really nice thrust idle taxi. We're going to look for, okay, so there's Alpha 3. We're going to do the Alpha 2 turn. And if you look up here, that should give us, there's Alpha 2. That's the one that we want. There's also Alpha 1 to really, if they got to delay you or something, this seems to be the most direct turn. And a nice gentle turn out here. Somebody was telling me you hit decision height and -5 for takeoff over on decision height. So we'll go to -5. They also explained it to me, but I forgot. There is so much to learn about these old Airbuses. I think you can go and get a real Airbus A310 manual, and it's over 1,500 pages in a PDF file. Okay, there's the category 1 and 2. There's the ILS hold line. We're going to go over here to the hold short line here. And hold short. And we'll look down here, do a quick parking brake. And final before takeoff checklist, cabin is secure. TCAS goes to Terra. That's just one click. And somebody was saying also for takeoff, there's the above and below switch here for traffic. You can go above and below, and so we'll go above for takeoff. Packs are going to be on ignition. They were saying that ignition goes to continuous for takeoff and landing. So we got ignition, and then anti-ice. I don't think we need anti-ice right now. We're ready to go. Parking brakes going off. At this point, if we were on VATSIM, I would make sure at this point that my departure frequency is set, because setting a frequency on takeoff is a gigantic pain in the afterburners. Going out onto an active runway, this is when I usually go and turn transponder to on. Now, I've been told that you just turn the strobe lights, turn transponder, turn strobe lights to on. Sorry, I used the wrong word. Somebody was saying that just go and turn it to auto when you leave the gate is enough. Line up. All right. So over in the X-Plane version, if you click the screw down here, that's your takeoff thrust. That screw is not active. We needed an actual button here, and the button that you use is this one. So this is your button that you push for takeoff thrust. So let's go over here, and there goes, landing lights are full, parking brakes are released. I do my throttles slowly up to about 30% or so. Look to see if they're stable. If they are, I push them up to above 40%, and then I hit that button, and then look down here and says auto thrust is now, the light goes on. Now I'm steering with the rudder pedals only. I'm not using the nose wheel tiller. I really wish they would include airspeed callouts on airplanes like this so that we can stay visual. Out the window, 100 knots, checked. V1, rotate. You're gonna have to pull back on the stick more for this airplane than on the A320. And I'm following my flight directors on takeoff. Positive rate, gear. The gear handle works really good on this airplane if you're using the Thrustmaster gear handle. And we're doing pretty good here. We got a couple of turns, so let's go ahead and get some help from the autopilot. AP. Because now at this point in time, ATC is calling saying switch to departure, you're all alone. The airplane will automatically go to climb mode for you. Let's go ahead and we're gonna do landing gear to neutral. And we're gonna make our little turn here. And I'm telling you, airplanes like this, you know, the Phoenix, the PMDG, the Aerosoft CRJ, and this airplane now from AnyBuild, this makes the flight sim experience so awesome. I mean, we get to go outside and look at great scenery like this. All right, we're looking pretty good. Let's see, flaps could go to 15 and 0. ATC is just called, climb and maintain 17,000 feet. And here's our next turn. We're going to go out to 20 miles and see we're also maintaining 250 knots. Nice little speed up here after these turns. Our speed is now continuing to go up. So there is 200 knots, flaps up. When I do flaps up, that's my reminder to come down here and do speed brakes off. We're out of the airport. We're doing pretty good. There's 7,000 feet. I'm going to go and do continuous relight off. And our nice little departure continues. Still maintaining 250 knots here. ATC is just called. Climb and maintain flight level 240. There's 10,000 feet. Almost. Transition here. Should have hit that at 6,000 feet. Just click the, see how it goes to a right and, you know, turn it to the right, turn it to the left, and a down arrow. The down arrow is standard. I went and I set my settings to just change all the altimeters at once. I don't have time to do all the different altimeters, particularly on a VATSIM event. And this is going to be a VATSIM airplane for sure. And here we are coming out of Munich. The moving maps here are outstanding in the new Navigraph. There's 11,000 feet. Let's also do a cabin call. And for a cabin call, for me, all I'm doing is doing the no smoking lights. That's how I ring the bell. Let the cabin crew know it's 10,000 feet. And we're on, it's already put me over here on approach. I'm going to go over here to progress. We're 214 miles out. It does show that we are in econ climb mode. We were in flying this on VATSIM the other day, and they wanted me to limit my speed, actually keep my speed up on a descent. There's two ways to do that. You can either just do it manually, go to level change and do your speed that way, or you can go over here to tactical mode, and this is where you can change your max climb speeds. You can change speeds. This is not as intuitive as a modern Airbus. It's not meant to be. It's supposed to be like the real thing. I was watching one video, and I guess the pilots that are really flying these airplanes prefer to just go to level change and manage their speed that way. But you can do it that way. I usually leave this one on progress. Let's return over here, and we're going to go to ATIS and EDDF, Frankfurt. Send it. It receives. Clear it. Go to messages. There is a Frankfurt METAR. Having that right in there, unless of course right now we were on across the pond and it was going to be hours and hours before we're going to, you know, then I wouldn't be doing that. But this is a short flight, so getting that right in there and having it on the screen, wow, does that make life so much better. Passing 17,000 feet. Looking pretty good. One thing I'll do regularly is I'll come over here and on the heading select, we'll go over here. See my pointer again? It's a by heading select. You move it over here onto the top part of the knob, and that resets that. Bottom part of the knob is changes it from nav to heading select, or you can hit the button. You also can dial bank select here, but you kind of have to get in tight to be able to do that. Our climb continues. The airplane automatically, after you set a flex temperature, it automatically handles your thrust for you. So you can see it's in auto mode. And so it's put us into climb mode. It will automatically put us into cruise mode, or you could select those yourself. There's 19 and change. We are pretty much done with constraints. So from there, I'm going to go to airports. terrain radar at this point does not appear to work. But I have seen a little bit of weather radar working, so that's pretty cool. I have neglected to do the after takeoff checklist. Slats and flaps confirmed up. Landing gear is up and neutral. Neutral's important on this airplane. If it's not in neutral, you won't be able to arm the auto brakes for landing. The packs, we've left our packs are both on. There's the pack selectors for on and off. And altimeters are checked and set. The after takeoff and climb checklist is done. Passing 21,000 feet, we're going to flight level 240 for our flight. Nice view outside this wing. One of the things that I've kind of noticed is the windows seem a bit small. So I've got this one set up at just a nice view. From what I understand, they were a little bit smaller on these older Airbuses. So being able to, look out the window like this is, and see the wings, the view is a little bit limited here. You can zoom in though. But the cabin view is pretty cool on the airplane. There's 23,000 feet. And when you're 1,000 away, it shows your cruise coming in here. The light goes on. It does not blow a horn at you though. But the light does come on, and it'll start slowing your climb. And it's still in econ climb mode, so it takes just a second, but it should go from CL to CR at the same time that goes to climb, and that's when you achieve your final cruising altitude. Time for another sip of coffee. It does, I have forgotten to do landing lights. I forget stuff all the time on this airplane. There's a lot to do. Landing lights should go off. Nose light should go off. Should have done that at 10,000 feet. And now we're in Econ Cruise, so we didn't get to sit and watch because I forgot to do my landing lights. I will tell you that the eCam is a great reminder for stuff. And we're at flight level 240 or relatively close. We're in cruise mode. We are 175 miles from Frankfurt. So let's see, in case somebody has had too much coffee, we'll do seatbelts. Seatbelts are off. Passengers are free to move about the cabin. I would be a lousy flight attendant. I'm way too Captain Sarcastic-y. Okay, you see over here the little blue line? This is your heading indicator. I'm gonna go over here and hit the top part of the heading select button. And there we go. We are currently looking at the 40-mile range, I believe. Let's go to 60 miles. The map gets a little bit congested here, so especially in Europe. But I wanted to do this to show you, hey, look at this. Our top of descent hockey stick is already showing up. So it's time for me to put down the coffee and get ready for landing. So first step in my landing process is we're not going back to Frankfurt to Munich, so I'm going to hit edit and I'm going to X, X, and X, and we're going to get rid of the charts going into Munich. If we were on VATSIM and they were landing on 7 right and 7 center or 7 left, I would have all the ILSs set. It's just us today, so as we look at our descent coming here, we are good to descend to flight level 110. So ATC just called and said clear to descend at pilot's discretion on the FAWUR 2 Charlie departure arrival. So at this point we're going to go and do 1000. Now then, over here, if you look for programmed altitude, I'm going to come back up here, and this is another one of those push and pull things. See, my pointer here is a normal mouse pointer. Watch as I move it on the lower side of the altitude select button. And I pulled it. Now look back here and it says program descent. So we're good to go with our program descent. But we're not done yet. You need to also go over here and dial the bug to 1,100 feet too. So we need to set that as well. Now, I've never done 1,100 feet, so it'll be interesting to see if it does 11. Or that's, or you can only do this 100 feet at the time. See, what happens is I'm doing my descent, this airplane will continue to just blow through constraints. Oh, wait a minute. No, I think I'm wrong on that. I'm still learning about this one. So I'm set to 11. Maybe what that's supposed to be is my MDA. That might be it. The thing that I'm running into is I've gone and I've set my altitude select here, but the airplane just keeps descending. So I'm forgetting to do a button. I just don't know what. And I haven't found it on a YouTube video yet. So on our approach, we're going to do a category 1. So that's 528 feet. So let's go and do 528 here for our MDA, 528, and pop that in. And then maybe what we need to do is put this over here. Maybe that's it. Like I said, I'm wrong. One of the problems that's coming up with these, there, 528. Okay. The YouTube videos, there's not a lot of real-world pilots that are flying these airplanes right now, and none of them appear to be on YouTube. So it's only it's real-world Airbus pilots that are doing this. You know, that are flying, you know, modern Airbuses, and it's sort of like, okay, I don't know how this works. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I imagine if I were to have read the manual, I might have a better handle on that. Okay, let's go down here. And there is a manual that comes with this, by the way. I just have to go and dig that out. Okay, we're coming within 5 miles of top of descent. There's our hockey stick. We've set practically everything. See the program descent here? Ah, now all of a sudden it's flashing, and we have vertical deviation has shown out. And so now the airplane is getting itself set up to descend for us. You still have to press a button in a Airbus A319, 20, and 21, and probably the A350, although I hear the A380, you can do a program descent on that one. But in this case, this airplane will do it for you. And you can see we have started our descent into Frankfurt. And it seems to be going pretty good. Now, the other thing you have to do on this airplane, you got to set your own ILS. You got to set your own ILS frequency here. It's what I like about the airplane. There's stuff to do. Our ILS is 110.95 and 066 is our heading. So 110.95. That's good. And 066 going in. 066. 066. Okay, we're good to go there. And then the other thing is I will then dial this up to 200 feet. There we go. There's 200 feet. This is managing our descent speed very nicely. If ATC calls and says you need to limit your speed or keep your speed up, the two ways again to do that is with the tactical mode here. And so you could put in a new speed down here, 280, and then you have to click it twice. The other thing you got to remember to do is when you're done with that, you have to go back to econ speed manually on this thing. Doesn't do it automatically like the other airplane. The other option is to go over here and hit level change and manage your speed that way. See, we're going to hit constraints now coming in. And you can see we've got a few constraints here. So at Hilt, we want to be at 18,500. So I think we've got a hard constraint there. Yeah, flight level 185. And we're getting close. So we're 1.5 miles away. And look at that. I think we're going to hit it just fine. So, what a good airplane. Smarter than I am, that's for sure. Transition altitude is, let's see, here it says 5,000 feet. So generally, transition level on the descent is sometimes set by ATC, so sometimes you can add 1,000 to that. Let's just go ahead and go with 5,000 right now. If you're on VATSIM, the ATIS, if there is a controller, they will almost always tell you what your transition level is. Let's go ahead and put passengers back in their seats. Seatbelts. And now it shows that we're a little bit below, that we're a little low, so it's slowing us down a bit. So our next altitude constraint is between 14.5 and 13.5. So it slowed us down, I think, just a little bit there. That's okay. I think we're going to make that one just fine. The biggest thing that I'm going to worry about right now, though, is as we get to Spica, that's the bottom of the star. Okay, so that is our 11,000 feet as we come up here. What I want to do here is make sure that the airplane stops at Spica. It doesn't always do that. Again, I think I'm not hitting a button correctly, but that's the important thing to do if you're going to take this on VATSIM, is make sure it stops there. Let's see, we can also hit the top part of the heading select button. I like to keep that one set up because you know these approaches, ATC will vector you, will vector you. Hey, look at that. Our deviation is getting back to where we belong. As you're coming in on a busy VATSIM event, they're also going to start telling you about speeds. So after Seaview, there's 15,000, so we are a mile away. We got to be between 14.5 and 13.5. I think we're going to make it there. So we made that constraint. That handled it very well. And now our next checkpoint is Spica. So since this is the bottom of the descent, at this point in time, because I've been burned by this before, and it doesn't seem to want to stop me at 11th at that point, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be very close to hitting my level change button here. It does show that it's gonna stop me there, but it doesn't always do it. I'm not sure. Okay, so there's 12. Now it's slowing our descent a little bit, but that's because it thinks we're a bit high. It's trying to put us there. I just don't know if it's going to stop. Again, I think that there's a real simple answer to that. I just don't know what. And that was one thing that over in the X-Plane version never had to worry about. That was not something that was not something that we had to deal with. Okay, coming up on 1,100 feet. We are 4 miles from Spica. Everything else is looking pretty good at the moment. Okay, so now so it's got a hard altitude here. Let's see if it stops. If it doesn't, we'll be embarrassed. Oh, we also should have switched this to middle. And since we're descending, we should have switched it now to below. So this is TCAS. All right, and here we are. There's 11, 100, 200. Okay, this time it's stopping me. No, Yeah, it's stopping me. It's going to hold us there at 1,100 feet. Go figure. Don't know what to say about that. I don't know what I did right or wrong, but we've stumbled into the right spot. ATC has just called, and they have now said descend and maintain. Let's see. Coming on in here for final plunge altitude is 4,000 feet. They have now said descend and maintain 4,000. So I'm going to put in 4,000, and now we're just going to do level change, and that means I've got to maintain control of my own speed. I'm impressed that it stopped. I don't think it's because I'm particularly skillful. I think that I just must have done something right on that. Okay, so here's 10,000 feet. We also have to do our own slowdown now. Some of the descents that take you below 10,000 feet, I've noticed it does that fairly well. And I'm going to go to 240. It's a big, heavy airplane. So the airplane's going to slow me down. Very nice. Remember, for flaps and slat speeds, we can start to throw out the slats at 245. So that kind of helps us out a bit there too. It's slowing us down first, and then it will descend us to 4,000. There we go. What a great airplane. See, 10,000 feet. We should have also gone and done landing lights. We're going to preset the nose light. I'm going to ring the bell. Sterile cockpit. And the airplane's descending us down to 4,000 feet. What a good airplane. Here is the airport. You can see there, EDDF. So this is looking pretty good too. If you want to control your vertical speed, you just push the knob here and dial it. But right now the airplane's being a good airplane. Everything else is looking pretty good here. Again, the one thing that I'm running into trouble here is being able to switch frequencies while the parking brake is on. That seems to be something that is giving me a problem. We're coming into clouds now, and it is 7 degrees. So total air temperature is 7. We get into the clouds, we may need to do some engine anti-ice as we get in closer. Let's also go ahead and do the approach checklist. Passenger signs are on. The briefing has been done, but poorly. ECAM status is checked and is in good spot, in good condition. Altimeters are not set. We're coming up on 6,000 feet. I think that that's relatively close. Let's go and just check and see. We've got a minute. ADIS. EDDF. And send it. Clear it. Check it. So here's the bottom one there. Our altimeter setting is going to be 1013. And that was supposed to be at 6,000. I'm doing it a little bit sooner. 1013. So altimeters are checked and set. Minimums, we have set both. It says set both. So the MDA is set. I've also set it in here, and I have set something in here too. Ignition, it says as required. I've seen a lot of the videos that I'm seeing on YouTube is they're going to continuous relight while on approach. Landing elevation is set, and the approach checklist is done. Like I said, I think you do landing elevation, it's 2 settings. You're going to set it for your airport elevation in case you have to come back to the airport and land, I think. And then you're going to reset it when you're coming into your arrival airport. So, like I said, I have a feeling that that's what goes on there. Next thing I'm going to do is get my charts set up here. We're coming over there. There is the airport. There is our landing. What I really am liking, though, is there is the airport chart, and the moving map looks really good. So at this point, I tend to zoom this in pretty tight unless I need another chart, and then just set that off to the side. And that way I can see my charts. The other way to do that is to come over here and hit airport. We are landing on 7 right. So we're going to be exiting to the left. We're going to try and get Mike 13, Mike 14, and it looks like Lufthansa parks a lot of these over here. So that's another way to do that too. But I kind of like the other one because it's a little more complete and it shows me parking gates too. Hey, look at that. It stopped me at 4,000 feet. What a good airplane. ATC is going to call and say, just keep your current speed for a little bit longer. Because we need to go, and if we look out the window, we could probably see Frankfurt out there. There's the river. It's a little cloudy. How is the temperature? It's 11 degrees outside the airplane. I'm not going to worry about anti-ice right now. Everything else is pretty good. I guess now we're just going to sit here and wait for a little bit. Nice view of the clouds. The engine's still attached. That's nice. I don't know if you could see, if you look at the passenger entertainment system after takeoff, it gives you the outside air temperature. It shows your altitude, vertical speed, ground speed, your heading, distance to destination, and how much time in the passenger entertainment system. Okay, airplane geek time. Yeah, that's awesome. Really like that. Because one of the things that I like to do is, let's say something bad happened. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed or whatever. I got up and I'm in grumpy mode. I can go and I can set up a flight like this, put it on autopilot, and just go to a wing view. And because I'm an airplane geek and like travel and stuff like that, it makes me feel a little bit better because the scenery is so good. Except, of course, with low clouds and, I guess it's been really foggy lately here in Frankfurt lately, which I guess in the fall and winter, it really gets foggy here in Frankfurt. Okay, everything else appears to be in relatively good shape. ATC says 210 knots, so let's go to 210 knots. So our speed's going to go down to 210, and we know that we can go to slats 15. Slats 15. Let's go ahead and reset the heading bug because we know that they're soon going to give us a vector for our final approach. And I'm kind of waiting until we get past this Frankfurt 07 right checkpoint here, ROSPA. This is usually a point where they'll bring us in. So that's kind of what happens there. Speed brakes. We're going to go down here. Let's go ahead and arm speed brakes. I'm going to go auto brakes low. This airplane really slows down fast with medium auto brakes. I mean, it's jam on the brakes. So auto brakes low seems to work really good. And you also don't need an awful lot of reverse thrust either. Just kicking in the reversers is about all you need. So we got about 5 to 10 miles before I'm going to make my turn. Airplane is flying along pretty good. Again, I really like the modeling on the airplane. If you get a chance, you're parked at the gate, grab the drone cam and go and look around the airplane. Not bad. Really nice. There is another application that you can get over at flightsim.to, and it is called Flight Record. I just turned it on. Takes a second to load. It's called Flight Recorder. So this is a nice little flight recorder here. This way you can play back your landing. and have a look at it. So I've got this one set up over here, and as we turn to final, we'll go ahead and start the recorder. It's kind of worth looking at. And at this point in time, we have now passed ROSPA, I think. So you can do this two ways. Usually ATC will give you a bearing and tell you to intercept the ILS. So I'm going to go now and click the bottom part of the heading button. That's heading select. And let's go ahead and turn 90 degrees and then another turn here. Usually at this point in time, they will also tell you 180 knots until 5 miles DME. Or maybe wait until a little bit after. Actually, they do that as they're turning you to final. So in this case, 320 is pretty good. There's ROSPA. The other way that you could have done this is gone direct to ROSPA through the FMC. So there's direct ROSPA. Now at this point, we're going to go ahead and activate the ILS system. If you wanted to do an auto land, you could click the button, and it says it's flashing red, so it's not ready for you yet. If you wanted to do that. We're still not direct to ROSPA. And 180 knots. So here comes 180, which is a nice speed there. We do have glide slope and localizer. I'm going to get a little help from glide slope and localizer and hit the land button now. And that's going to go ahead and help set us up for the, it'll get us on the localizer and get us on the glide slope. Turning final, let's go ahead and do landing gear. Gears going down. Hey, look at that, it's grabbing the localizer. And glide slope, there's a blue. If something is enunciated in blue, now it's got a star, that means it's capturing the glide slope. So stars means it's capturing. When the star goes away, that means it has. It's done its thing. And we're doing our descent. We are 10 miles from the runway. So generally they will tell you 180 knots until 5 miles DME. We're getting close to the S button here for more flaps and slats. So we could actually go another click of those, flaps and slaps, another. So basically in newer Airbus, it's flaps 3. Last chance to go ahead and brief yourself. We're landing 7 right. We want to exit Mike 13 or beyond, but we're exiting left is the thing. Let's also go to this little flight recorder. I'm going to hit record. It is now recording our flight so we can watch it. This is now a good time to gently put your feet on your rudder pedals. Look down here. We're about 7 miles from the runway. I can see it. It looks great. Landing speed. VAP is 131. I always add a little bit to that, anywhere between 5 and 10 knots. So we're going to call it 135 for landing. That's close enough to 5 miles DME, 135 for our speed. If it's windier, I might make it a little bit more than just 5 to 10 knots. And flaps another click. I generally do them fairly evenly. I try not to do them just all at once in this airplane. Apparently that can confuse it. Flaps are full. Landing checklist. Landing gear is down 3 green. Auto brake is checked. Low. Anti-skid is checked. Slats and flaps are confirmed. Spoilers are armed. Landing checklist is good. The final thing that I will do is take a look at my winds down here. My winds are from the right, slightly behind and blowing me to the left. So it's going to want to push me that way. That way for you on the camera. I'm pointing the wrong way. As we look, everything looks good and groovy. If we wanted to, we could engage the other autopilot for an auto land. I'm gonna do that another day. You gotta hit the red button twice. I actually have my red button set up over on a control. And now we're just gonna fly the airplane. Remember, it's gonna wanna blow us that way. The other way for me. This is not an A320. You're going to have to coax it down. So you will have to move it, but like anything. Now, I've got my hands also on my physical throttles here. The auto throttle has us. I'm just going to go ahead and reduce my physical throttles to idle. The airplane's got me, but I'm going to just go and do that right now. It's a little time saver for me. Oh, we got blown off to the side.
100.
Airplane is now idling the engines. Reverse. And I'm just doing, just engage the reversers. I haven't turned them up or anything. And you can see it is slowing us down really well. $60 knots, stow the reversers. Tap the brakes, auto brakes are off. We made it. Nobody was hurt, nobody was arrested. How about that? And let's go ahead and we're going to exit the runway right where we thought we were. I'm gonna go and put my speed brakes down now. And we'll get over here to the hold short line and I'm gonna go ahead and stop. Okay, I'm gonna come down here. If you're on VATSIM right now, you wanna exit VATSIM. I'm gonna rearm these. Let's go over here to the flight recorder. I'm gonna hit stop recording, release my toe brakes, and hit replay. I've left my flaps out, so everything is set. And we can go outside the airplane, and now you get to watch your landing. Okay, it's yelling at me about my flaps right now because I haven't reduced my speed. So it still cares about that sort of thing until you get your speed set. So you really want to start that flight recorder thingy when you're fully configured for landing. And right now it has, okay, now it's starting to slow me down to my final speed there, which was about 5 miles from the runway. So as that continues to go down, you remember to look over here, 180. So we can now put our flaps out, and there it goes there. And now the airplane should do its thing. Okay, that never times out for me. But hey, it seems to have worked out pretty good. Let's hit the stop replay button now. Okay, the music might have played just a little bit long, but I gotta tell you, if you like airplanes, you like this sort of thing, oh boy, that was not bad. Now, the landing rate said it was like 300 and change. Let's see. No, just stay there. So over on Sim Toolkit Pro, the landing rate was 353 for the replay and 350 something over here. Way too much. That was not that bad of a landing. Okay, so I always think that the landing rates are just a little bit too heavy here. So here we are over here. I usually at this point, let's go out of this, and you can see now it's going to give us parking gates. So this is really a nice thing to do. I like that part of this. Let's do a turn over here. We can put our flaps up and go right into Lufthansa land. I am really shocked that the airplane it stopped at 11,000 feet as we were coming in. I gotta tell you, that hasn't happened to me before. I must have done something differently. I don't know what it was, but there you go. Let's also do APU. Power on. We're just idling on back. Flaps are coming up. And start up the APU. So starting there, we are crossing at L9 and we're going right into the nice parking gates here. We're crossing this runway now. I'm going to go strobes to off. And sometimes when you're turning off some switches, if you've got the nose wheel, the thumb wheel set to zoom. So one of the things I'm going to work on today is turning that off, because the thumb wheel set to zoom is just killing me. Let's go for Alpha 19. So ATC has set Alpha 19 as our gate. This little thing here, as we come in, there is Alpha 19. I think that is so cool. Just shows us right where we got to go. If you notice it's starting to get a little bit late, lights are coming on. It's hard to see. So the PFD, you adjust the levels on the PFD, and you're going to want to turn that down as the night goes on. Okay, so we are coming into the area here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 jetways is our gate. So there's 1, 2, 3. It's on the other side of those luggage carts. Hey, look at that. We got an APU coming up. Oh, let's also turn ignition to off. Oops, I think I've stopped here. I tend to tap those brakes. Okay, so there is... Here's a gate. Here's one without a jetway. And this airport doesn't have a... Oh, it does. So it's 25, 23, 21, and 19. So there's 1, 2, 3. Yep, it's on the other side of the jetways is where we're going. Add a little bit of power. So let's see, we should have also gone to transponder on this one until we get parked at the gate. So that's squawking mode Charlie on the taxiways. We could also turn off the LS system, turn off just a few of these, although the pilots are going to be concentrating on their taxi. And here is our gate. So by those baggage carts is where we're going. And then we got a nice little turn to get us in. It could be, this is not a wide body gate. I just selected it. Let's see if we can fit. It's shorter, right? This is just the, this is not a payware. This is the enhanced, really nicely enhanced airport that came with Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's probably time for a new one of these. That looks pretty good. Yeah, that's probably good. So, parking brakes. Stop squawking. Do we have an APU? We do. So we can come down here, click in the middle of the engines. of those engine switches. That you need to click in the middle of those. Let's see, we can turn off the beacon. We should have turned off the nose light. Did you see up here at the top, pitch trim and yaw dampers turned off? Let's get the APU bleed on. Let's also disarm the emergency exit lights. Seatbelts should go off too. Let's come on over here. Oh, fuel pumps. Fuel pumps. That's apparently a big deal on the older buses. When you don't need them, turn them off. And you got a whole bunch of them. Also, we should have turned off our probe heaters when we were taxiing in. Now we can come over here to the plug, and we can go ahead and get a ground power unit. Let's also grab us a jetway. It could be that the jetway is not going to work here because we're not parked in the correct spot, but as you can see, there is a building in the way of the correct spot. So the jetway might not work. So at that point, just open your own 1L door, and that's all you got to do. As far as unloading the airplane and stuff, there's no real unload sequence or anything like that, I found. We do have external power, so we can punch that in, save a little juice with the APU. And at this point, I'm going to say, I'll call it ready one. That's what I call the airplane is at the gate. Brakes. The only other thing to look at is the brake fan is not on. We could come down here and look at the wheels page and see what our brake temperatures are. They're all in the green zone, so we did not use too much braking. So that was really good. So we can turn off those. And then the last thing that I'm gonna wanna do is take a look at my fuel. Now, the replay might have used fuel. So look over here on page 1, go down a little bit, you see where it says final reserve and alternate fuel. It should have been 3.6. Because I went around and had to restart my engines, I'm at 3.2. There was also, now 3.6 is wheels on the ground, I believe. It doesn't include taxi in. I'm gonna say that we probably are spot on in fuel. So that was really, really good too. So definitely enjoying every little bit of this airplane. Can't wait to learn more about it. I'm still making a few mistakes, but gotta tell you, this airplane is doing so good, and it's so exciting. As always, I like to say with my YouTube videos, this is not about the exact right way versus the exact wrong way. This is simply what is working for me right now. And the whole idea is to help you be able to fly some of these amazing airplanes too. And I hope that this did work for you. As always, please leave your questions and your comments. I read all questions and comments. I'm still really new here on YouTube. If you liked the video and wanted to support, the best way to do that is come on over and fly with us on Twitch. On the Spy Flight, we're flying Tuesdays through Sundays. Our departure time is 1900. Every flight is a group flight. We're also doing a lot of flights on VATSIM, so if you want to get frosty on VATSIM, that's also a cool place to go. That's also a good place if you want to do a little more support. A subscription is really nice, and that's really helping me out. At this point, I also want to say a big thank you to my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon, and also the subscribers. You are the jet fuel in my flight plan. Thank you so much for flying along with me. I hope you are doing well. Everything is going great here, and wow, is this airplane fun. So I will look forward to seeing you as early as tomorrow on Twitch. Departure time again is 1900 Zulu, and I hope you'll be able to come and fly with us. In the meantime, what a nice day here in Frankfurt. So we're going to go ahead and pull back just a little bit here. As always, I like to say thank you very much for watching. Stay healthy, stay safe. We'll see you again soon here on YouTube, and even sooner on Twitch.